In this Sean Speaks episode, I get to speak to you from my heart about an important part of parenting, family life, and a parent's mental health and mindset. I want to help you thrive in how you speak to your kids and how you speak to yourself. Sean Speaks is a live teaching I did with a Zoom room filled with my VIP members. It's interactive, it's spontaneous, it's raw and unedited. If you'd like to go deeper with me, visit my website.
Who would have thought, huh? Who would have thought that being an adult would be so hard, would be so complicated, right? Who would have ever imagined when we were teenagers, when we were in our 20s, when we were just kind of getting nestled into our long-term relationships or marriages, that would be this hard at times and this painful and this complicated. We would feel like such failures. We would feel so scared. We would feel so hopeless. Who would ever thought we'd be so connected to a human being called our kids that we can't stop thinking about them, and we would give them so much power, and we'd be so connected to them, and we'd be so scared. You know, parenthood is such a eternal mystery that we are still just trying to figure out and comprehend. And it was already hard. It was already so hard. And then these freaking things came around. It's like, what the heck? It's so complicated. Kids are not riding bikes anymore. They're playing video games about bikes or riding e-bikes. Kids are not knocking on doors anymore. Now they're knocking holes into walls. Now we used to be scrolling through the things at libraries. And now you think of the word scrolling, and you definitely do not think of the library little thingy bobbers, whatever they are. It is such a wild time of change, and kids are changing. What it means to be a kid is changing. What it means to be a parent is changing. What it means to be human has changed. The human experience has changed in the last 10 years, and we are all just trying to figure it out. Now, today I brought some juicy, good information and stories with me. Soon today, I'm going to be talking about this piece of paper, which is from our Parents Club member named Nancy, who watches the recordings, and she said she might be joining us live. Asked permission to read because she wrote me a long letter about her cycle that she's caught up in with her son, and it's very painful and very captivating. It'll make for some good TV. I'm also going to be addressing my friend Tracy, who is really scared and going through some painful experiences with her daughter, and I might be addressing other families here with me live. But before we do, I just want us to take a second just to nestle into our chairs and just take a couple of deep breaths, and let's just enjoy this moment. Just let my words bring you comfort, encouragement, and hope here on this Thursday. Here's 5 truths of personal responsibility. I wrote these years ago, but I actually realized I don't think I've ever talked about them in the Parents Club. If you're following along at home, if you're new to the club, welcome, glad you're here. And it's always really helpful to bring a little packet to the club. These are 5 things that are true. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to do a little storytelling in between, but I'm going to leave a lot of time for us to engage with each other here today. I'm responsible for my own feelings, actions, and reactions. That's right. We do not need to blame anyone for our behaviors. We also don't need to blame anyone for our own emotions. Yes, we are wildly connected with our kids. We want to be attached, and that's healthy. Attachment parenting, positive parenting. But it's very challenging because if you heard me teach this before with this illustration, it would not be a wise thing for a 43-year-old man to give his power away to a 5-year-old child or a 12-year-old child or a 16-year-old hormonal girl. That would just not be wise for my mental health. Now, if I want to do that, I'm free to do that. If I want to blame her because she's ruined my life or my wife or my coworker or my boss or my spouse, I'm free to do that. I wouldn't do that because in the end, I'm responsible for my own feelings, actions, reactions. Number 2, I always have choices and options. While my wife and I have been some pretty good marriage therapists over the years, we've been to some really crappy ones too. And of all the people that have brought us some support, probably the most helpful have actually been this couple who kind of took us under our wing, and they were just a really healthy couple, and they were honest with their own struggles, and there was lots in their marriage, but they would just take us out to eat, and we would just check in, and they would give us feedback and wisdom and very tough love at times. And sometimes that's what people need. They need someone just to tell me how it is, right? And that's one of my strengths and one of my weaknesses. I can be too extreme with my words. But one thing I learned from this couple, is their name are Brian and Rhonda, is that there was always a third way. There's always other options out there. It doesn't have to be my way or her way. And I'm like, oh, I haven't thought about that. Truth number 3, no one can make you feel anything or do anything. It's true. No one can control you. No one can control your emotions, right? We are only in control of ourselves. One of my favorite cliches that I love saying, I haven't said it for about 2 months, I'll say it now. You can still be a great parent and have a troubled teen. In a few minutes, I'm going to be reading this story here about a young man who's saying shut up to his mom and calling her a bitch. And here's some good news. You can still be a great parent and have a son who calls you a bitch. I'm also maybe going to talk about one of the parents in the club. Her daughter has a 47% in a class, and that's just really painful. And it's scary because if she continues to keep a low grade, she's going to lose some of her privileges at her school as a natural consequence. And it's just causing a lot of pain and turmoil in the house. That's what 47% can do. And you can still be a great parent and have a daughter with 47%, right? Because we're not in control of these critters. They're on their own journeys in life, and we're on our own journey. We are imperfect and they are imperfect. And we're all just kind of learning as we go. And just to remind you, while I might have a lot of creative ideas, I have a lot of creative support, my passion and my job is just to give you support and give you ideas so that you can control yourself. Because it only takes one person to break a nasty cycle. And that is, again, why it's so painful being a parent. But it's also why it's so freeing, because we can control ourselves. We can control our minds. We control our thoughts, our attitudes, how we feel about hope in the future. And that is great. And what is not great is that we cannot control these freaking kids. And that sucks, because some we want to just control them and have them stop this horrible behavior. At times we sure do. So the good news is we can control ourselves. The bad news is we cannot control them. And the good news is we cannot control them, because that would not be fun anyway. And fourth truth of personal responsibility is every action I take will have a consequence. That's right. We will all reap what we sow. Yesterday, I sat in the court, because we live in a court, and I was playing with a ball with 2 of my daughters and riding bikes with them. And I need to tell you, I was in a horrible mood. Between parents, I did not want to be doing that. It was totally boring and obnoxious, part of it. And I had a bad attitude, and I did not want to be doing it. I was in a funky place, and I was just tired from work and clients. And I just, was just being salty in my head, and I was just being kind of edgy, and I didn't want to do it, but I did it because I just felt like I wanted also to spend some quality time with my 2 of these daughters, just connecting with them, loving on them, playing on them. And I know, because I teach this, the more connection I have with these kids, the more they're going to thrive, the more our family's going to thrive, the more their behavior is going to thrive. And the more connection you have, the better obedience. So I was making an investment. And so every action I take will have a consequence. And so I believe, because I took that action yesterday, that the chances of my kids enjoying me are going to go up, listening to me are going to go up, and having better behavior are going up. And the number 5 list, truth of personal responsibility is this, and this really will bring everything I say here to home. With self-care, I can find contentment and joy in my life, despite my circumstances. Some of us here are really hurting today. We're feeling really angry and taken advantage of, maybe feeling like a failure, really disappointed with our kids' choices, maybe struggling, maybe being hard on ourselves, and are just really hurting with these cycles like this one I'm going to start with here today. And here's the truth. It is true. With really, really good self-care, you can find contentment and joy in your life, despite your circumstances. It's true. It's true. It's true. Now, it might be hard for you to carve out that time for a lot of self-care, because remember, the harder your life is at times, it means more time for yourself. It means more time to invest in yourself and care for yourself.
Parents, thank you for letting me be a positive voice in your life. I love you, and I love your family. If you're sick and tired of those same painful patterns in your parenting or the same painful bad behaviors in your kids, then what are you waiting for? Join me in my VIP membership. I'd love to speak with you and give you the specific tools that you need.